Nelson Mandela once said that sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to the youth in a language that they understand. Sport can create hope where there was once despair. It feels as if it was just yesterday. We are sitting here in Newlands Rugby Stadium watching the opening ceremony of the Rugby World Cup in 1995. I was a young 11-year-old kid, ready and eager to watch the Springboks take on the world. And whoa, were there some tough decisions being made which would change the course of South Africa forever. Today we're back with another episode of Coffee with Craig, where I sit down with a good friend, Rasta, one of the top referees that we have in rugby in South Africa. And we talk about making tough decisions, making decisions under pressure. So if you haven't made the decision to hit subscribe quickly and carry on watching, because Coffee with Craig is all about inspiration, motivation, and making everyone's lives better. So I hope you enjoy Newlands Rugby Stadium. Rasta, thanks so much for joining us on Coffee with Craig. It's great to chat to you here at the home of rugby. So I want to talk to you about making some very difficult decisions, because I know that's what your job's all about, making tough decisions when you're under pressure. But I want to lead into that. So, I mean, do you want to tell us, how did you get into becoming a referee?
Yeah, Craig, firstly, thank you. It's great to be part of this coffee show. I started obviously refereeing schoolboy rugby when I was obviously a student. And then I took a massive liking into it as I was small in stature.
Did you want to actually be a rugby player?
Yes, I wanted to be a Springbok, but obviously I was just not big enough. And then as I was studying, I refereed a lot of games and coaching and did a bit of analysis, and then loved refereeing and took up the whistle, and everything worked out well.
And all worked out?
Yeah, everything worked out well. I got onto the 7th circuit, and then after that I had a lot of lucky breakthroughs, which was awesome. Well,
tell us about that. So, I mean, you are one of the best referees in South Africa. If not, I mean, are you rated as the best referee? I mean, you've been to the Olympics, you've been to the Commonwealth Games, you've done sevens rugby, and you're now doing 15-man rugby.
Yes, Craig, I've been very fortunate to get a lot of opportunities on the 7th circuit, doing a couple of finals, Olympics, 2 World Cup finals as well on the 7th circuit. But enjoying the 15s, I've had the opportunity to referee a Currie Cup final in 2015, which was great. But I'm just trying to find my feet still, so I wouldn't say I'm the best, but I'm learning at the moment and really enjoying the journey.
So, I mean, you made a name for yourself in sevens rugby. Yeah. Why did you want to move across to 15-man?
Well, I'd done sevens probably for, I think, 7 or 8 years, and it was time for me to graduate to the next level. When we do the sport, obviously our main objective is to graduate every time and get to the highest level. And my dreams obviously is to do tier 1 tests, you know, hopefully New Zealand, England at Twickenham, or Australia, New Zealand in Auckland or something. So we strive to get to the next level the whole time, and that's why we are motivated to keep refereeing and getting to the top level.
Okay, what do you do about getting better? How do you become better as a referee? So we watch rugby, and probably the person we hate the most on the field is the ref. Because when he's blowing against your team, it's always his fault.
Yes, Craig. So what happens during the week, I'll break it down for you so you can actually understand what happens during the week. We do a lot of analysis. There's a lot of communication with the coaches, with our own individual coaches, with the team coaches. We work with our director of rugby, which is Rasta Rasivhenge as well. We've got Mark Lawrence as well, who is our high performance manager. So there's a whole structure to it, where we obviously have to do our homework during the week in order to be prepared for the weekend or prepared for tournaments. Okay. And obviously we'll do a post review and a reflection, and then we actually identify areas we could have done better
Okay.
Because in every game you're always going to get errors and non-decisions, and our main objective is to cut down the error rate and the non-decision rate.
Okay, so tell me about that. So I'm a hockey player, so it's a little bit different to what you used to, but I know what it's like when you're playing and you make a mistake. You might miss a pass or you pass to the opposition and you start to almost spiral downwards and you realize that you're making mistakes. Now for you as a ref, that pressure is huge, and you're in a stadium like this where there's 50,000 people watching you. How do you stop that negative spiral?
As people know, rugby is a very dynamic game, and we've got a lot of tools that we set up, obviously during the week or for the season. We've got psychologists, we've got coaches and trainers, and what's very important is that you set up those triggers. Once we have those triggers, it's very important that you're able to reset. Once you've identified that you could have possibly made an error. And there's different instances where that happens. You could officiate a breakdown and think you got the penalty right, and as you look up on the big screen, and obviously you might pick up that it's the wrong decision, and that's where your triggers come in, where you then need to reset and get back to your accuracy levels, whether it's the next breakdown, the next scrum, the next lineup. So we're equipped and trained with different tools, and that's the beauty of our game because it's so dynamic. We're going to get errors, non-decisions in the game, but our main focus is to minimize the errors and those non-decisions while we officiate the game.
Okay, well, talking about resets, let's reset now. So Rasta, I know what it's like. I mean, we've all made decisions in our life, and we've made bad decisions or the wrong decision. Do you want to tell us what is some of the worst rugby decisions that you've made on the field?
Yeah, Craig, I mean, we always don't get it right. Sometimes we make mistakes, and that's the nature of the game. I mean, if I have to recall one of the mistakes I've done, probably was a game somewhere overseas where, you had two teams playing on the 7th circuit, and I didn't quite get the decision right, and it had material effect on the outcome of the game, and it's probably one of the things I reflect back on as my learning point, and it made me a stronger referee as I'm still growing and learning.
So what happened?
It was probably a breakdown I got wrong,
okay.
And it had material effect, and there were points scored after that. It was the last decision of the game that changed the outcome of the game, and it was a good learning for me.
So it's like a mental visualization that you have?
Yes, because rugby is about pictures, if you think about it. If you have a photographic memory, you can always reflect back on what happened, and when it happens again, you know exactly what to do. So it's sort of like having a photographic memory.
Okay, all right. So I mean, so tell us a little bit more about that. Do you ever come down here and watch a team practice, and then you try and figure out what decisions you'd make while they're busy practicing?
So Craig, if I tell you the best tool in our sport of rugby, whether it's hockey, rugby, or any team sport, the more you go out there and you educate yourself, the better you are when it comes to game day. So all of us have been afforded the opportunities to visit our franchises wherever we live and work with the teams. They might be having a contact session or scrum session. You get scrum coaches, and it's really good to just go out during the week and learn a bit more so that you're better prepared for your weekend.
Okay. Rasta, so you've been very fortunate with your career as a referee. I mean, you've been to the Olympics, which is the pinnacle of sport. But I mean, what does the future hold? Who is Rasta in 5-10 years' time?
So Craig, what I am busy working on obviously is my 15s game at the moment, and obviously with the dynamics with COVID, the whole world is resetting, and I think it's great for all of us to reset, and the sport is just going to evolve.
Okay.
So as the competitions go on, my own personal goals obviously is to get to the highest level of Test rugby. And at the same time, gain a lot of experience.
So, I mean, is it a goal of yours to be in the 50-man World Cup?
Yes, absolutely. I want to be at the World Cup, hopefully. Maybe if I'm fit enough and still strong enough and still young enough. I also want to be part of the British Irish Lions
Amazing.
after our British Irish Lions. So yeah, that's the pinnacle of sport, and I'm looking forward to working hard for the next couple of months and years to get to the highest level while I gain a lot of experience.
That's amazing. Rasta, thank you so much for joining us on Coffee with Craig. I really appreciate you taking out the time to be here, to share your story and the tough decisions that you've had to make with our audience. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, Craig, I would like to say thanks for the opportunity to converse about some really good, tough and technical questions, just to get people to understand what we do. And hopefully this can help people get inspired and they can look at rugby differently.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, sure. I look pretty good in blue and white if I do to myself. But how stadium will ever be here at Newlands? It's going to be the last time I ever get to touch the grass, see the railway stand, see the grandstand, and actually be here at Newlands. And I hope you enjoyed another episode of Coffee with Craig, where we got to share with you Rasta's story. And that's what Coffee with Craig is all about. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, and we'll see a new guest next week on Wednesday that's going to share their amazing story with you. I'm out of here.